I've had several people attack me on my video about how Christians say that atheists were never real Christians. They said I was just legalistic and didn't have a real relationship with God. I hadn't thought about it for about a decade as to what was my driving force to obey God so much, which they seem to see as legalistic as opposed to obedience. Hypocrisy, I guess, is just a noble trait in religion while they can judge others. My reasons for obedience to God was not because I feared that my sins would damn me. I was saved and I knew that. I was not trying to be a perfect Christian for my sake at all. When I was in church, I was told that every sin I committed was laid on the cross of Jesus, and that caused him more pain. I was also told that God could not dwell with iniquity, as it said in the Bible, and sin must be something like kryptonite to God, so he has no choice but to cast us out of his presence if we die unsaved. It's the only thing that made sense. Punishment for eternity for a finite crime wasn't logical. However, if sin gave God pain, then it kind of limited his omnipotence. I wanted a relationship with Jesus, and you don't hurt your friends, especially if that person is hanging on a cross, and you do something to make the pain even worse. I tried to follow the laws of the Bible to the letter, not because I wanted some extra reward from God, or I was worried about my salvation. Those were assured. It was because I loved Jesus and didn't want to cause him any more pain than I had already given him by being born a sinner. I guess the minor sins to most Christians don't matter, so that white lie, gossip, or gluttony wasn't a whole nail or a spear in Jesus' side, but it was certainly a paper cut. Imagine my sadness and guilt when I hit puberty and I couldn't control my lustful thoughts and gave in to the sin of self-pleasuring. As much as I tried, I could not control myself, even though I knew how much pain it caused my Lord. After learning science and hormones, I realized that Jesus must be a masochist if lust is something that can add more pain to himself on the cross. It is natural and programmed into us. I have also been told that my empathy for my fellow beings burning in hell that led to my crippling depression was me taking on a burden that belonged to God. So love your neighbor as yourself is a sin then. You have to love yourself somewhat, or you wouldn't care if you went to heaven or hell. You are doing it for survival to begin with, and even if you claim that it's about a relationship, if you stopped feeling the relationship, you would still stick with a religion for the fear of your survival, just like I did. Not exactly Pascal's wager. You still believe, but you don't feel the relationship no matter what you do. I tried fasting, prayer, giving, self-denial, pleading with God, but I only ended up feeling sad and empty. I don't know what kind of responses I will get from this, but I can tell you, I was a Christian. My depression from knowing about all those suffering, tormented people in hell and knowing my sins caused my Lord suffering meant I was strongly following the two greatest commandments given by Jesus, namely, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. I don't know how I could have better followed those commandments, and it left me empty and cripplingly depressed. I really resent those Christians who think I was doing something wrong, so I was separated from God. If I was not a Christian then, there is no way I could be a Christian no matter how hard I try. When I asked what I could do to have a real relationship with God, they told me to do everything. I'd tried 1,000 times, and that never worked. Or do things like charity, which I do anyway, with no hope for reward. Christians, tell me what I can do to have a relationship. I dare you, other than undergoing lobotomy. I've tried everything, and I still felt empty and alone. Science and bioneurology has a much better and much more logical explanations for my emotions, drives, and feelings, and sin and demons really aren't among them.